sister turned our entire family against me because our parents could finally afford to help me when they couldn't help her. I'd been living in the same city as my older sister Vanessa for 6 months when she suggested we grab dinner at this Italian place near her apartment. And the whole drive over, I kept thinking this might finally be the night we felt like actual siblings instead of strangers with shared DNA. She was already seated when I walked in, scrolling through her phone with that focused look she always had, like even sitting still was productive. She glanced up, smiled briefly, and waved me over. We ordered, made small talk about her new project at work, my classes, the weather. Everything felt normal until the appetizers arrived. So, I wanted to talk to you about something, Vanessa said, setting her fork down with the kind of precision that made my stomach clench. I've been thinking a lot about your situation. I froze mid-bite. My situation? The money, she said flatly. Mom and Dad are still paying your rent, right? And your tuition? I nodded slowly, unsure where this was going. Yeah, we talked about it when I moved here. They offered, she repeated, like the words tasted wrong. And you just said yes. They wanted to help, I said. They said it made sense while I'm finishing my program. Vanessa leaned back in her chair, arms crossed. Do you know what I was doing at your age? I knew exactly what she was doing. She told me 100 times. 2 jobs, night shifts, community college classes squeezed between double shifts at a call center and a grocery store. She'd left home at 19 with $300 and a duffel bag. I know, I said quietly. I don't think you do, she said. Because if you did, you wouldn't be sitting here acting like it's normal for a 24-year-old to have mommy and daddy cover everything. My face went hot. It's not everything. I have a part-time job. I pay for groceries and my phone bill and part-time, she interrupted. You have a part-time job. Congratulations. I stared at her. The table next to us went quiet, and I realized my voice had gotten louder than I meant it to. I dropped it back down. What do you want me to say? I want you to grow up, Vanessa said. She wasn't yelling. That was the worst part. She sounded calm, almost clinical. I want you to stop coasting. I want you to get a full-time job, pay your own rent, and tell mom and dad you don't need their money anymore. I'm in school full-time, I said. I can't just... By the end of the summer, she said, cutting me off again. You have until September. Full-time job, all your own bills, zero help from them, or I'm done. The words hung there like smoke. Done? Done, she repeated. I can't keep watching you waste your life. I can't sit here and pretend to respect someone who's choosing the easy way out when I had to fight for every single thing I have. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. My throat felt like it was closing. This isn't about punishment, Vanessa said, but her voice had an edge now. This is about character. You want a relationship with me? You want me to take you seriously? Then prove you can stand on your own 2 feet. Vanessa, I'm working with a therapist on... She laughed, sharp and bitter. Of course you are. Let me guess. She told you to set boundaries and practice self-care and take your time, right? I didn't answer. That's what I thought, she said. She pulled 2 20s out of her wallet and dropped them on the table. Think about what I said. You've got 4 months. She stood up, grabbed her jacket, and walked out. I sat there staring at the appetizer plate, at the half-eaten bruschetta neither of us had finished. My phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. I mean it. September or we're done. I love you, but I can't watch this anymore. I set the phone face down on the table and tried to remember how to breathe. I didn't call my parents that night. I sat in my apartment staring at my phone until the screen went dark. Then I turned it face down and tried to sleep. I couldn't. Around 2 in the morning, I texted my mom. Can we talk tomorrow? She called me at 7:30. I was still in bed. Sweetheart, what happened? She asked. Her voice had that careful, worried tone that made my chest hurt. I told her everything. The dinner, the ultimatum, the text. I kept my voice flat because if I let it crack, I was going to lose it completely. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, your sister called us last night. What did she say? That she's worried about you. That we're enabling you. That we need to stop helping you financially so you can learn to stand on your own. I closed my eyes. And what did you say? I told her it's not her decision, my mom said. Your father and I talked about it after she hung up. We want to help you. We chose to help you. That's not something she gets to veto. She said I'm coasting, I said. My voice came out smaller than I wanted. She said she can't respect me. My mom exhaled slowly. I need to tell you something, and I need you to hear me. When you were little, things were hard. Your father lost his job twice. We moved 3 times in 4 years. Vanessa was already in middle school, and she saw all of it. You were too young to remember most of it, but she wasn't. She had to grow up fast, and we didn't have the resources then to help her the way we can help you now. So she's right, I said. I got the easy version. No, my mom said sharply. You got what we could finally give. We always wished we could have done more for her. We've tried to help her since, but she won't take it. She says she doesn't need it. That's her choice. But it doesn't mean you have to refuse help just to make her feel better about the past. I didn't know what to say. My throat felt tight again. We're not going to stop helping you because Vanessa thinks it's wrong, my mom continued. If you want to take on more, that's your choice. But don't let her bully you into something that's going to hurt your health or your education. She said she's done with me if I don't do this by September. Then that's on her, my mom said, but her voice wavered. I hate this. I hate that she's putting you in this position, but you can't live your life on her timeline. We talked for another 20 minutes. By the end, I felt slightly less like I was drowning, but the weight in my chest hadn't lifted. The text started 2 days later. Vanessa sent me a link to an article about millennials and financial dependence. No message, just the link. An hour later, another one about the importance of self-sufficiency. Then a screenshot of a job posting for an administrative assistant role with full benefits. Saw this, thought of you. I didn't respond. The next morning, she sent 3 more job postings. The morning after that, another article. This one was about how therapy culture encourages people to avoid accountability. I stared at my phone during my lunch break at work, watching the messages pile up. My coworker asked if I was okay. I said I was fine. On the 5th day, I texted her back. I need some space to think. Can you give me a few weeks? She replied in under a minute. Space to think or space to keep avoiding reality? I'm trying to help you. If you can't see that, I don't know what else to say. I put my phone in my drawer and didn't look at it for the rest of my shift. That night, my cousin Brielle called me. We weren't close. We saw each other at holidays and exchanged polite small talk, and that was it. Hey, she said. So Vanessa sent me your text thread. My stomach dropped. She what? She forwarded the whole thing to me and Aunt Monica. She's worried about you. She said you're shutting her out and she doesn't know how to get through to you. She sent you our private conversation. She's just trying to help, Brielle said, but she sounded uncertain. She said your parents are still paying for everything and you won't even consider getting a real job. That's not... I stopped, took a breath. It's more complicated than that. I'm not trying to take take sides, Brielle said quickly. I just think maybe you should talk to her. She's really upset. She gave me an ultimatum, I said. She told me I have until September to cut off our parents and get a full-time job or she's done with me. That's not help. That's control. Brielle went quiet. I didn't know she said it like that. Did she show you that part of the conversation? No, Brielle admitted. She just showed the part where you asked for space. I rubbed my eyes. Can I ask you something? Did she tell you about the dinner? About what she actually said to me? She said you guys had a tough conversation and you got defensive. Right. I felt something cold settle in my chest. That's what I thought. Look, I'm not trying to make this worse, Brielle said. I just think family should work things out, you know? Yeah, I said, I know. We hung up a few minutes later. I sat on my couch staring at the wall, knowing that whatever version of this story Vanessa was telling had already made its way through half the family, and my side of it didn't matter because hers had gotten there first. My dad's birthday dinner was 3 weeks later. I thought about skipping it, but my mom called and asked me to come, said it would mean a lot to him, and I couldn't say no. Vanessa was already there when I arrived. She was in the kitchen helping my mom with the salad, laughing about something. When I walked in, she glanced up, smiled tightly, and went back to slicing tomatoes. We made it through appetizers. My dad opened his cards. My mom brought out the lasagna. Everything felt almost normal until Vanessa set her fork down and looked directly at me. So, have you had any interviews yet? The table went quiet. My mom's hand froze halfway to her water glass. I'm still working part-time, I said carefully, and I have finals coming up, so I'm focused on that right now. Vanessa nodded slowly, like I'd just confirmed something she suspected. Right, school. How much longer is that program? Another year. Another year, she repeated. She picked up her fork again, speared a piece of lettuce, and said to no one in particular, must be nice to have that kind of time. My dad cleared his throat. Vanessa, let's not do this tonight. Do what? She asked. I'm just asking questions. I'm interested in my sister's life. You're not interested, I said before I could stop myself. You're making a point. She looked at me then, and her expression was so calm it made my skin crawl. If you think me caring about your future is making a point, that says more about you than it does about me. My mom stood up. Who wants more bread? Nobody answered. Vanessa took a bite of lasagna. My dad stared at his plate. I felt my face burning. I'm working on it, I said quietly. I'm doing what I can. Are you? Vanessa asked. Because from where I'm sitting, you're doing the bare minimum and calling it effort. Vanessa, that's enough, my mom said, but her voice shook. Vanessa held up her hands. Fine, I'll drop it. But you asked me to be honest with her, and I'm being honest. Someone has to be. My mom's face went pale. I never asked you to. You said you were worried about her, Vanessa said. You said you didn't know how to push her without upsetting her. So I'm pushing. I looked at my mom. She wouldn't meet my eyes. You talked to her about me? It wasn't like that, my mom said quickly. I was just venting. I didn't mean for what? I asked. For her to take it as permission? See, this is what you do, Vanessa said. You make everything about how you're the victim. Mom's worried about you. Dad's worried about you. I'm worried about you. But instead of listening, you act like we're attacking you. I stood up. I need some air. I walked outside and sat on the front steps. My hands were shaking. 5 minutes later, my dad came out and sat next to me. She didn't mean it like that, he said. Yes, she did, he sighed. She's always been hard on you, even when you were kids. I think she just wants to see you succeed. She wants to see me struggle, I said. There's a difference. He didn't argue. We sat there in silence until my mom called us back inside for cake. I went back in, sang happy birthday, ate a piece I didn't taste, and left as soon as it was polite to do so. Vanessa texted me that night. Sorry if I was harsh. I just think you're capable of more than you're giving yourself. I didn't respond. The next morning, I called my therapist and asked if she had any openings that week. She fit me in 2 days later. I told her everything. The dinner, the texts, the articles, the family group chat that was forming around Vanessa's version of my life. I told her about the ultimatum and the deadline and the sick feeling I got every time my phone buzzed. What do you think would happen if you did what she's asking? My therapist asked. I'd have to drop out, I said. Or I'd have to take so many hours that I couldn't keep up with my classes. I'd probably fail. And even if I didn't fail, I'd be so stressed I'd end up back where I was 2 years ago. She nodded. And you've explained this to her? I tried, she said. I'm hiding behind therapy buzzwords. My therapist was quiet for a moment. Then she said, it sounds like she's asking you to prove your worth by repeating her experience. But your path doesn't have to look like hers. You're not less capable or less deserving because you're doing it differently. Then why does it feel like I'm failing? Because someone you love is telling you that you are, she said. And that's incredibly painful. But her measuring stick isn't the only one that matters. I left that session feeling slightly more solid, like maybe I wasn't completely losing my mind. I texted Vanessa that night. I talked to my therapist. She said your timeline would set me back and probably hurt my mental health. I need to do this at my own pace. Vanessa replied within minutes. Of course she said that. That's what therapists do. They tell you what you want to hear and charge you $200 an hour for it. You're using therapy as a crutch. You're choosing comfort over character. I can't keep having this conversation. I stared at the message until the words blurred. 2 days later, my Aunt Monica called me. She was my dad's older sister, the kind of person who sent birthday cards on time and hosted Thanksgiving every year without complaint. I liked her. We didn't talk often, but when we did, it was always easy. Hi, sweetie, she said. I wanted to check in. Vanessa mentioned you two have been having a tough time. She told you? She's worried about you, Monica said gently. She said you're going through something and she doesn't know how to help. Did she tell you what she said to me? She said she gave you some advice and you didn't take it well. I closed my eyes. She gave me an ultimatum. She said if I don't get a full-time job and cut off mom and dad by September, she's done with me. Monica was quiet for a beat. That does sound harsh. It is harsh. But maybe she has a point, Monica said carefully. I know you're in school, but you're also an adult. And I think Vanessa just wants to see you stand on your own 2 feet. She had to do it the hard way, and maybe she thinks you're taking the easy road. I'm not taking the easy road, I said. My voice came out sharper than I meant it to. I'm taking the road that doesn't destroy me. I know, honey. I'm not saying she's right about everything. I'm just saying maybe there's a middle ground. Maybe you could pick up a few more hours, show her you're trying, just to keep the peace. Why do I have to be the one who keeps the peace? I asked. Why doesn't she? Monica sighed. Because she's the one who's hurting, and sometimes when family is hurting, we make accommodations. We talked for a few more minutes, but I barely heard her. When we hung up, I realized what had just happened. Vanessa had been talking to Monica, probably to other people too, and they were all hearing her version first, the one where I was stubborn and defensive and refusing help. And by the time I tried to explain myself, I was already cast as the problem. The group text arrived arrived on a Saturday morning. It went to the whole extended family, cousins, aunts, uncles, even my grandmother. Hey everyone, I'm hosting a summer barbecue at my place on July 10th. Bring your favorite side dish and come ready to celebrate all the hardworking, independent people in this family who've built their lives from the ground up. Can't wait to see you all there. I read it 3 times. My mom called me 10 minutes later. She didn't mean it like that, she said, but she sounded uncertain. Yes, she did. Maybe she's just proud of herself. She just got that promotion and, Mom, she's telling me I'm not welcome. She didn't say that. She didn't have to. I hung up and stared at my phone. The replies were already coming in. Aunt Monica said she'd bring potato salad. My cousin Brielle sent a thumbs up. My uncle said he'd be there with his famous ribs. Nobody asked if I was coming. Nobody seemed to notice what the message actually said. I sat on my couch with my phone in my lap, watching the thread fill up with cheerful responses, and I realized I didn't have a single family space left where I could show up without wondering who Vanessa had already talked to, what version of me they'd heard, and whether I'd spend the whole time defending myself or just pretending everything was fine. I didn't go to the barbecue. I told my parents I had too much work to catch up on, which was half true, and they didn't push. My mom said she understood. My dad said he'd bring me back a plate. The Monday after, my phone started buzzing before I even got out of bed. 3 missed calls from my mom, 2 texts from Aunt Monica, a voicemail from my grandmother that just said, "Call me when you get a chance, sweetheart." I called my mom first. "What happened?" I asked. "Vanessa told everyone you didn't come because you couldn't handle being around people with real jobs." I sat down on the edge of my bed. "She said that?" "Not in those exact words," my mom said quickly, but that was the implication. She made this whole speech about how proud she was of everyone there, how everyone had worked so hard to build their lives, and then someone asked where you were, and she said you'd chosen not to come. And the way she said it, everyone knew what she meant. "What did you say?" "I said you had schoolwork, but then Monica asked if you were okay, and your dad said you were doing fine, and Vanessa said, 'Is she though?' And then it turned into this whole thing where people started asking questions and I didn't know what to say without making it worse." I pressed my palm against my forehead. "I'm sorry." "You don't have to apologize," she said, but her voice was strained. "I just don't know how to fix this. Your aunt keeps calling asking what's really going on. Your uncle thinks you're mad at the whole family. Your grandmother is upset because she thinks you're isolating yourself." "I'm not isolating myself. I'm trying to stay away from someone who's making me feel terrible about my life." "I know," my mom said, "but they don't see it that way. They see Vanessa trying to help and you pulling away." We talked for another 10 minutes. By the end of it, I felt worse than I had before the call. That afternoon, my cousin Jordan texted me. She was 19, Brielle's younger sister, and we'd always gotten along. She sent me memes sometimes and asked me about my classes. I liked her. "Hey, can I ask you something?" "Sure," I wrote back. "What's going on with you and Vanessa?" I stared at the screen. "What did she tell you?" "She talks about it all the time," Jordan wrote, "like every time I see her. She says you're wasting your potential and mom and dad are enabling you and you refuse to listen to anyone. She showed me some of your texts and said you're playing the victim." My chest tightened. "She showed you our texts?" "Yeah, she said she was worried about you and didn't know what else to do." "What did the texts say?" "Just you asking for space and her trying to give you advice. She said you're in therapy but you're using it as an excuse not to change." I set my phone down and tried to breathe, picked it up again. "Jordan, she gave me an ultimatum. She said if I don't get a full-time job and refuse all help from my parents by September, she's cutting me off completely. She didn't show you that part, did she?" The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "No, she didn't say that. She said it, at dinner. And she's been texting me job postings and articles about how people my age are too dependent and how therapy culture is making people weak. She's not trying to help me. She's trying to control me." Jordan didn't respond for a long time. When she finally did, all she said was, "I don't know what to believe anymore." I didn't write back. That night, I opened the family group chat. It had been quiet since the barbecue. Just a few people sharing photos and thanking Vanessa for hosting. I stared at the screen for 20 minutes before I started typing. I know there's been some confusion about why I wasn't at the barbecue, and I want to clear a few things up. I've been working with a therapist for the past 2 years on managing my anxiety and building a sustainable life plan. My parents have chosen to help me financially while I finish my program, and that decision was made together after a lot of conversation. I'm working part-time, I'm on track to graduate next year, and I'm doing what my therapist and I have agreed is best for my mental health right now. I didn't come to the barbecue because I needed some space to process a difficult conversation Vanessa and I had a few months ago. I'm not mad at anyone, and I'm not isolating myself. I'm just trying to take care of myself in a way that works for me. I read it over 3 times, deleted a sentence, added it back, hit send before I could talk myself out of it. The replies started almost immediately. Aunt Monica sent a heart emoji. My dad wrote, "We love you, sweetheart." My uncle said, "Glad you're taking care of yourself." Then Vanessa replied, "This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're writing this long victim narrative instead of just taking accountability. You're hiding behind therapy and mental health buzzwords and acting like everyone else is the problem. Nobody's asking you to be perfect. We're asking you to try. But every time someone suggests you do more, you write an essay about how hard your life is and how everyone needs to accommodate you. This isn't self-care. This is manipulation." I watched the message sit there. Nobody responded. Not my parents, not my aunts, not my cousins. The thread just went quiet. I locked my phone and set it on the counter. The family video call was my mom's idea. She said we needed to talk things out, all of us, before this got any worse. She scheduled it for a Friday night and sent the link to me, Vanessa, my dad, Aunt Monica, and Uncle Rick. I joined 5 minutes late. Everyone was already on. Vanessa was in her living room, arms crossed. My mom looked like she'd been crying. "Okay," my mom said. "I think we all need to just be honest about what's going on. This family is falling apart and I can't keep watching it happen." Nobody said anything for a moment. Then my dad cleared his throat. "I want to say something," he said. "We've been helping our daughter because we want to, because we can, because we didn't have the ability to help Vanessa the same way when she was younger, and we've always felt terrible about that. But that doesn't mean we're doing something wrong now. We're not enabling anyone. We're supporting our child. You're teaching her she doesn't have to work for anything," Vanessa said. Her voice was flat. "You're teaching her that someone will always bail her out, and when you're gone, what's she going to do? She'll have no skills, no resilience, nothing." "That's not fair," my mom said quietly. "It's true," Vanessa said. "And you know it's true. You told me you were worried about her. You said you didn't know if you were doing the right thing, and now you're acting like I'm the bad guy for saying out loud what you've been thinking." "I never said." "Yes, you did," Vanessa interrupted. "You called me crying about it. You said you didn't want her to struggle, but you were scared she'd never be independent. So I'm trying to help. I'm trying to push her, and you're making me the villain for it." My mom opened her mouth, then closed it. My dad looked down. Aunt Monica shifted uncomfortably on screen. Nobody said anything. The silence stretched until I couldn't stand it anymore. "I'm doing my best," I said. "Your best isn't good enough," Vanessa said. The call ended 10 minutes later. Nobody had really said anything after that. We all just sat there until my mom said she had to go and everyone else said goodnight and logged off. I sat in front of my laptop staring at the empty screen. My phone buzzed, a text from Vanessa. "I meant what I said at dinner. You have until September. Get a full-time job, pay your own bills, refuse help from mom and dad, or I'm blocking your number. I can't keep watching you waste your life. It's too painful. I love you, but I need you to prove you're serious about changing. This is your last chance." I read it twice, set my phone face down on the desk, stared at the wall until my vision blurred. The deadline was 10 weeks away. I spent the next 3 days staring at that text. I'd pick up my phone, open the message, read it again, and set the phone back down. Every time I tried to write a response, my hands started shaking. By Wednesday, I called my therapist and asked if she could see me that week. She had a cancellation on Thursday afternoon. I took it. I sat down in her office and pulled up the text on my phone, handed it to her without saying anything. She read it slowly. When she looked up, her expression was careful. "How are you feeling about this?" "Like I'm being held hostage," I said. "Like no matter what I do, I lose." "What do you think would happen if you did what she's asking?" I'd already thought about this 100 times. I'd have to quit school or take so many work hours I couldn't keep up with my classes. I'd probably fail. And even if I didn't fail, I'd be back where I was 2 years ago. Panic attacks every morning, not sleeping, not eating, feeling like I was drowning all the time. She nodded. "And if you don't do what she's asking, she blocks me. She's done. And everyone in my family thinks I chose comfort over her, that I didn't care enough to try. Do you think that's true?" "No," I said. "But it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what they think." My therapist set the phone down on the table between us. "I want to ask you something, and I want you to really sit with it before you answer. If you do what Vanessa is asking, and you end up back in crisis, will she be there to help you through it?" I opened my mouth, closed it. Thought about Vanessa at the dinner table, at the barbecue, in the family video call. Thought about the articles she'd sent, the job postings, the messages about therapy culture and accountability. "No," I said quietly. "She'd say I wasn't trying hard enough." "Right," my therapist said. "So she's asking you to light yourself on fire to keep her warm. And if you do it and you get burned, she'll tell you that you weren't strong enough to handle the heat." I stared at my hands. "She thinks suffering is the only way to prove you're worth something. Like if I don't struggle the way she did, I'm not really earning my life. Do you think that's true?" "No," I said. "But she does. And I don't know how to make her see it differently." "You can't," my therapist said. "You can't make her see anything. You can only decide what you're willing to accept. And right now, she's telling you that her love is conditional, that you have to meet her standards, follow her timeline, and live your life her way, or she's done. That's not love. That's control." I felt something crack open in my chest. "So what do I do?" "You set a boundary," she said. "You tell her that you love her, but you're not going to hurt yourself to prove your worth. And then you let her make her choice. And if she chooses to leave, then she was always going to leave," my therapist said, "because the version of you she wants doesn't exist. She wants you to be her, and you're not. You're you, and that has to be enough." I left the session with a knot in my stomach and a strange, shaky clarity I hadn't felt in months. That night, I sat at my desk with my phone in front of me and started drafting a response. I wrote 6 different versions, deleted them all, started over. The first draft was too defensive. The second was too apologetic. The third was too angry. The fourth tried to explain everything and ended up being 3 paragraphs long. I stared at the screen until my eyes burned. On Friday, I tried again. I kept it shorter this time, focused on what I needed to say instead of what I thought she wanted to hear. "I love you, but I can't live my life on an ultimatum. I'm doing what my therapist and I have agreed is best for my mental health, and I'm not going to hurt myself to prove my worth to you or anyone else. If that means you're done, then I'm sorry, but I understand." I read it over 10 times. Changed "I'm sorry" to "I respect your choice." Changed it back. Added a sentence, deleted it. Sat there staring at the words until they stopped making sense. On Saturday, I showed it to my mom. She read it twice and then handed my phone back. "Are you sure?" she asked. "No," I said. "But I don't think there's a right answer here. I think there's just what I can live with." She looked at me for a long moment. "I think it's brave," she said quietly. "I think it's the right thing, but I also think it's going to hurt." "I know." She hugged me. I felt her shoulders shake. When she pulled back, her eyes were wet. "I'm proud of you," she said. On Sunday night, I sat on my couch with my phone in my hand, opened the message thread with Vanessa, read her ultimatum one more time, felt my heart pounding in my throat. I typed out my response, read it again, took a breath, hit send. The message showed as delivered immediately, then the status changed to read. I watched the screen. The 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. I set the phone down, picked it up, the dots were still there, then they vanished. A minute passed. 2, 5. My phone buzzed. "You made your choice. I'm done." I stared at the message, started typing a response, stopped. The words felt pointless. Another buzz. I hope it was worth it. Then nothing. I tried to send a reply. The message bounced back. A notification popped up at the top of the screen. "You can no longer send messages to this contact." I opened Instagram. Her profile was gone. Facebook the same. I checked my texts, my call log, everything. She'd blocked me everywhere. I sat there holding my phone, staring at the blank space where her name used to be, and felt something inside me break and settle at the same time. My mom called an hour later. "She called me," she said. Her voice was thick. "She said you chose your comfort over your family, that you're never going to change, that she's done trying to save you." "I know," I said. "I told her she was wrong. I told her you were trying. She hung up on me." "I'm sorry." "Don't apologize," my mom said. "You didn't do anything wrong. You set a boundary. You chose yourself. That's not wrong." But she was crying when she said it. I hung up and sat in the quiet of my apartment. The silence felt enormous. I kept expecting my phone to buzz, kept expecting another message, another argument. moment, another chance to explain myself. Nothing came. I thought about the dinner where this started. The ultimatum, the texts, the family calls and the barbecue and the group chat and the video call where nobody defended me. I thought about Vanessa's face when she told me my best wasn't good enough. I thought about the version of me she wanted. The one who worked 2 jobs and fought for every inch and proved my worth through suffering. The one who looked like her. That version didn't exist. It never had. I picked up my phone and opened my notes app, typed out a single sentence. I chose myself. That has to be enough. I read it once, locked the screen, set the phone face down on the couch. The apartment stayed quiet. My chest still felt tight, but the weight had shifted. It wasn't gone. It was just different. I didn't know if Vanessa would ever unblock me. I didn't know if my family would understand. I didn't know what Thanksgiving would look like or how many more conversations I'd have to sit through where people asked what really happened and I'd have to decide how much to explain. But I knew I wasn't going to light myself on fire anymore. Not for her, not for anyone. I sat there in the silence, and for the first time in months, I let myself breathe. Thanksgiving was 3 weeks away when my mom called and asked if I was still coming. Of course, I said. Vanessa's coming too, she said carefully. I wanted you to know ahead of time. I closed my eyes. Okay, you don't have to, she said quickly. If it's too much, your dad and I understand. No, I said, I'll be there. I hung up and sat with the weight of it. I hadn't seen Vanessa since that dinner in April. It was November now. 7 months of silence. The night before Thanksgiving, I barely slept. I kept running through scenarios in my head. What I'd say if she spoke to me. What I'd do if she didn't. How I'd sit at the table without my hands shaking. I got to my parents' house early. My mom was in the kitchen mashing potatoes. She hugged me tight and said, "It's going to be okay." I nodded even though I wasn't sure I believed her. Vanessa arrived 20 minutes later. I heard her voice in the hallway, heard my dad greet her, heard her laugh at something he said. I stayed in the kitchen pretending to help with the green beans. When she walked in, she looked right past me, went straight to the fridge, grabbed a bottle of wine, and started talking to my mom about traffic. I stood there holding the colander. My mom glanced at me, then at Vanessa, then back at the stove. We sat down for dinner at 4. I took the seat closest to the kitchen. Vanessa sat across the table and 3 chairs down, next to Aunt Monica and Uncle Rick. My dad said grace. We started passing dishes. The conversation stayed light. My uncle talked about his new truck. Aunt Monica asked about my mom's book club. My dad made a joke about the cranberry sauce, and everyone laughed politely. Vanessa set her fork down and looked at Monica. "I got the promotion," she said. Her voice was bright, louder than it needed to be. "Senior project lead, 15% raise. They said I earned it." "That's wonderful," Monica said. "It is," Vanessa said. "I've been working 60-hour weeks for the past year. Nights, weekends, didn't take a single vacation day, but it paid off. That's what happens when you put in the work." Nobody looked at me, but I felt the words land anyway. "I also just closed on the refinance," Vanessa continued. "Got my mortgage payment down by $300 a month. It's amazing what you can do when you actually pay attention to your finances." My mom's smile looked painful. "That's great, honey." "It is," Vanessa said. She took a sip of wine. "I'm really proud of where I am. Everything I have, I built myself. Nobody handed me anything. I focused on cutting my turkey. The knife scraped against the plate." "How's school going?" Uncle Rick asked me. I looked up. "Good. I'm finishing my thesis this semester." "That's great," he said. "It is," I said. "I'm on track to graduate in May." Vanessa made a small noise. Not quite a laugh, not quite a scoff, just enough to be heard. I set my fork down. "Is something funny?" She looked at me for the first time all night. "No, nothing's funny." "Then what was that?" "I didn't say anything," she said. "You made a noise." "Did I?" She picked up her wine glass. I must have been clearing my throat. My mom stood up. "Who wants more stuffing?" Nobody answered. Vanessa and I stared at each other across the table. My dad cleared his throat. "Let's just enjoy the meal," he said quietly. I looked away first, picked up my fork, ate a bite I didn't taste. The rest of dinner passed in strained silence. People made small talk that went nowhere. My mom asked about the weather. Uncle Rick mentioned something he saw on the news. Aunt Monica complimented the mashed potatoes. Vanessa didn't speak to me again. She didn't look at me. She talked around me like I was a gap in the conversation. By the time we cleared the plates, I felt exhausted in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. I helped my mom with the dishes. Vanessa went to the living room with my dad and the others. I could hear her voice through the wall, bright and animated, telling some story about work. My mom handed me a dish towel. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "It's okay." "It's not," she said. "This is awful. I thought maybe seeing each other would help, but it's just making everything worse." I dried a plate, set it in the cabinet. She's never going to forgive me. My mom didn't argue. We finished the dishes in silence. When we walked back into the living room, Vanessa was putting on her coat. "I have to get going," she said. "Early meeting tomorrow." It was Thanksgiving. There were no meetings tomorrow. My dad walked her to the door. They talked in low voices for a minute. I heard him say something about staying in touch. Heard her say she'd try. The door closed. My dad came back and sat down heavily on the couch. "That was hard," he said. Nobody disagreed. I left an hour later. My mom hugged me at the door and said, "We love you. You know that, right?" "I know. We're not choosing sides," she said. "We're just trying to keep everyone together." "I know," I said again. But when I got in my car and pulled out of the driveway, I realized that trying to keep everyone together meant nobody was actually being supported. My parents were stuck in the middle, grieving a version of their family that didn't exist anymore, and I was the one who'd shattered it by refusing to play along. I drove home and sat in my apartment staring at the wall. My phone buzzed. A text from my mom. "Your dad and I want to talk to you tomorrow. Are you free for lunch?" I wrote back yes. We met at a diner near their house. They were already in a booth when I arrived. My mom's eyes were red. I sat down. "What's going on?" My dad folded his hands on the table. "We need to be honest with you about something. This situation with Vanessa is tearing us apart. Your mom cries every night. I don't sleep. We're both walking on eggshells every time we talk to either of you because we don't want to say the wrong thing and make it worse." "I'm sorry," I said. "Don't apologize," my mom said. "You didn't do anything wrong, but we're stuck. We love both of you. We support you. We think you made the right choice. But watching you two sit in the same room and not speak to each other is killing us." I stared at my water glass. "I don't know how to fix it." "We don't either," my dad said. "And that's the problem. We keep thinking if we just just give it time, if we just keep inviting you both to things, eventually you'll work it out. But I don't think that's going to happen. It's not, I said quietly. She's made it really clear. I either live my life her way, or I'm out, and I can't do that. My mom reached across the table and took my hand. We know, and we're not asking you to, but we need you to understand that this is costing us too. Every holiday is going to be like this. Every birthday, every family event. One of you on one side of the room, the other on the opposite side, and us in the middle trying to pretend it's normal. So what do you want me to do? Nothing, she said. We're not asking you to do anything. We're just telling you that standing firm came with a price, and we're paying part of it too. I pulled my hand back. You think I should have just done what she wanted? No, my dad said firmly. We don't think that. But we want you to know this isn't easy for anyone. You made the right choice for you, but it wasn't a clean choice. It hurt people. It hurt us. We sat there in silence. My mom wiped her eyes. My dad stared at his coffee. I don't know what you want me to say, I said finally. Nothing, my mom said. We just needed you to know. We finished lunch without talking much. When I got back to my apartment, I felt hollowed out. The months after that blurred together. I finished my thesis, defended it in front of a panel of professors who asked questions I'd prepared for, and some I hadn't. Passed. Graduated in May. My parents came to the ceremony. Vanessa didn't. I started a job 2 weeks later. Part-time at first, then full-time by August. My parents and I had a conversation about reducing their financial support. It happened gradually, naturally, without an ultimatum or a deadline. By October, I was covering my own rent. By December, I was handling all my bills. I didn't do it to prove anything to Vanessa. I did it because I was ready. Because my therapist and I agreed I was stable enough. Because it was my choice. But every time I hit a milestone, I thought about her. Wondered if she knew. Wondered if it would have mattered. My cousin Jordan called me in January. We hadn't spoken since the summer. She said she wanted to check in, see how I was doing. We talked for a while about nothing important. Then she said, Vanessa doesn't talk about you anymore. I went still. What do you mean? She used to bring you up all the time. Every conversation, she'd find a way to mention you. But now she just doesn't. It's like you don't exist. Oh, I thought you should know, Jordan said. I don't know if that's better or worse than her being angry, but it's different. Yeah, I said, it is. We hung up a few minutes later. I sat with the weight of it. The anger I could have handled. The arguments, the ultimatums, the public confrontations. Those were loud. Those meant I still mattered enough to fight about. Silence meant I'd been erased. I thought about that dinner in April. The moment she told me my best wasn't good enough. The ultimatum. The deadline. The texts and the articles and the job postings and the family video call where she said I was choosing comfort over character. She'd wanted me to suffer the way she had, to prove my worth through pain, to earn her love by becoming her. And when I refused, I stopped being worth the effort. The family events kept happening. Birthdays, holidays, summer barbecues. Vanessa came to some. I came to others. We were never there at the same time. My parents stopped trying to coordinate. They'd invite us both and let us decide. Most of the time, one of us chose not to come. I saw her once by accident at a coffee shop near my parents' house. She was in line ahead of me. I almost turned around and left, but she saw me first. We stared at each other for a long moment. She looked tired, older. I wondered if I looked the same to her. She nodded once. I nodded back. She got her coffee and left. I ordered mine and sat in the corner booth staring at the door she'd just walked through. My dad's birthday dinner was in March. My mom called a week before and said, Vanessa asked about you. I set down the book I'd been reading. What did she say? She asked how you were doing, if you were okay, if you were still in therapy. What did you tell her? That you were doing well, that you have a job you like, that you seem happy. And what did she say? My mom was quiet for a moment. She said that's good, and then she changed the subject. I closed my eyes. Is she coming to the dinner? She said she'd try, but she has a work thing that might run late. Okay, are you coming? Yeah, I said, I'm coming. The dinner was small, just me, my parents, and Aunt Monica. Vanessa didn't show. My mom said she'd texted an hour before to say the work thing ran over. I didn't ask if that was true. We ate, we talked, we sang happy birthday. My dad opened his cards. Everything felt normal except for the empty chair. After dinner, my mom and I sat on the porch while my dad cleaned up inside. The air was cool, early spring, the kind of night that felt like possibility. Do you think she'll ever come back? I asked. My mom looked at me. I don't know. I think she misses you, but I think she's too proud to admit she was wrong. And I think she's scared that if she reaches out, you'll reject her the way she feels like you rejected her before. I didn't reject her. I just refused to hurt myself. I know, my mom said, but I don't think she sees it that way. We sat in silence. The porch light flickered. A car drove past. Do you think reconciliation is possible? I asked. Maybe, she said. Someday. If she can accept that your life doesn't have to look like hers. If she can see you as you are instead of who she thinks you should be. And if she can't? My mom reached over and squeezed my hand. Then you did everything you could. And that has to be enough. I sat there holding my mom's hand, staring out at the quiet street, and felt the weight of the past year settle into something I could carry. The hope that Vanessa might reach out someday. The exhaustion of knowing it might never happen. The 2 chairs that would sit far apart at every gathering until one of us decided to move. I thought about the text I'd sent her that night in June, the boundary I'd set, the choice I'd made. I'd chosen myself, and I'd lost her in the process. But I was still here, still standing, still breathing. And for now, that had to be enough.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop your favorite part in the comments. See you in the next one.